everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Indie Hangout Podcast. I am Pneumatics. You may know me from my channel Pneumatics over on YouTube. I'm also over on Twitch if you add an extra X at the end. I am one of the co-hosts here. I'm joined by Osa, Kronos, and Maz. You guys want to introduce yourselves, even though I already kind of did? Maz?
Yeah, I'm
or
Kronos. I'm OS. Okay, Kronos. Mainly go by Kronos. YouTube, Twitch, pretty much the same name. There ain't no differences.
Nice. And what's up, guys? This is Maz from MazTech Gaming. I'm over on YouTube and on Twitch. MazTech Gaming over on YouTube and MazTech_gaming over on Twitch.
Nice. So, being the first episode, we wanted to get into it real heavy in the very beginning, right? So, but before we get into all that, let's talk about the games that we've been playing lately. Kronos, how about you? I've seen a couple that you've been playing that are pretty interesting.
I've been playing some Repo, which is a pretty popular indie game right now, and we tried out Schedule 1. Not a big fan of it so far, but can't really think of any other indie games that I've been playing here lately pretty regularly.
So I've actually just redone my format just recently. So I'm playing as a variety streamer, but a completionist streamer. So any game that I play, I'm getting all the achievements and whatnot. We kind of got away from that, kind of limiting myself. I haven't really done too much with the indie games just recently. I have picked up Repo. I have picked up Schedule 1. I do have a couple of games that I definitely have in mind to play. But most recently, I've been playing Fallout 4 and Atomfall, which is just absolutely phenomenal so far.
Nice. Yeah, dude. So the ones I've been playing lately, I've been playing a bunch, but the indie games I've been playing were I played Repo with Kronos one time and I felt like I was fumbling around. Dude, that game is a lot of fun though. I can see why the developers are doing so well, and being a multiplayer game right off the bat, like people are really getting into that game. And I think Schedule 1, I saw you playing that as well, Kronos. I don't know. I saw a thing the other day saying that that game made 50 million already. Indie game. I think it was developed by one guy as well. Don't quote me on that, but it's already gotten some scrutiny too. Like, I guess, geez, I can't remember the name. There's another game about like drug something that
Drug Dealer Simulator.
Yeah.
The one you're talking about. Actually, it looks like that might be a lawsuit for Schedule 1 because it sounds like they actually did a direct ripoff of the intellectual property from Drug Dealer Simulator 1.
I had not heard that. That's actually new to me.
Yeah, so it's kind of a thing right now. It's like it was a document found that was, that Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 publisher Movie Games, SA, they began an investigation into Schedule 1 over potential copyright infringement. So I think we're going to learn more about that as it unfolds over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see why. I mean, Schedule 1, like I said, made over 50 million, right? So what happens when a game makes a lot of money and it looks similar to another game? Lawsuits start happening, unfortunately. But I don't see how that they could. I mean, they stole intellectual property, obviously, but like the fact of making a game that's similar, there's no grounds on that. It would have to be a matter of if they literally can pinpoint where, or if the guy like copy pasted code in some way, then yeah, obviously. But other than that, I don't know. It seems like it's going to get wrapped up in or tied up in court for sure, which is crazy. It's crazy to think about. Something that these indie developers got to worry about sometimes when their games make it big. And if they're too similar to, maybe the inspirations they had.
From reading some articles on it briefly, it seems like that Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 have overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam. So it sounds like a little bit of jealousy in the same breath, right?
Like they're mad their game didn't take off.
Right, but this one took off, so now I'm mad. But let me ask you this. Let's say that Schedule 1's a flop, and they've brought in $5,000 since it released back at the end of March. Are we really having this conversation? Or back to what you were saying, Pneumatics, is this one of those types of situations where because it's so successful and because they're making so much money, we're going to make a big deal of it?
I think it's exactly that. It's a matter of this conversation wouldn't even been had if it weren't for the fact that they did so well. Because let's take a look back at Power World. They got a lawsuit.
You're ready to mention that one.
Yeah, they got a lawsuit from Nintendo, right? Because the lines being blurred, they're too similar to Pokemon. And I don't think that would have blown up as much as it did if the game flopped. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's a matter of like these games, when they do very, very well in the millions of sales, then you get eyes on it. And then you got these big AAA developers, or maybe even not AAA developers, just other developers that are looking at it and going, wait. I want my piece of that. And you stole it from me.
Yeah, they're wanting, their share of the money because they think it's their intellectual properties. Because it's like, oh, that's the same feature we have. They
Yeah.
stole that from us. Like,
Very good.
that's what Pokemon was trying to say about, or Nintendo was trying to say about Power World, is that the like petting your pals feature was stolen from Pokemon. That's what
Really?
the whole lawsuit was on. Yeah, the whole lawsuit was on the whole like feeding and petting your pals.
Now, how
that
the
it was a
hell is
direct-
that intellectual property? You're supposed to
don't-
feed, right?
Right?
I would say, I would have thought it would have been on the likeness of the Pal World. I don't even know what they're
Yeah.
called, pals compared to
Pals,
Pokemon.
yeah. Yeah,
Like-
actually, it was nothing on that. It was literally like one of the features in the game that they were trying to sue them for.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm looking
Yeah.
at this Drug Dealer Simulator 2 still. All reviews on the game on Steam, 20,000 user reviews for this game are positive. So 77% of those 20,000 are positive. The recent reviewed are overwhelmingly negative. So 2,187 user reviews in the last 30 days that made it overwhelmingly negative. So that kind of leads me to believe in the wake of everything here, are people reviewing this because they're mad at Movie Games SA? Is that kind of like a vindictive thing, like kind of attacking that game because they are calling out Schedule 1?
Oh, it
That's
could
actually
be.
Yeah. Or is it something along the lines like maybe they did a new update and the game got horrible, so then everybody was like, well, we're going to try out Schedule 1.
Man, could
Yeah.
you imagine if that's the reason why, though? Because like the game did so damn well, right? It's made so much money and it's got such good like community behind it, that this community is looking at this other developer and going, no, this guy's cool. We're going to drag you down so that this goes in this guy's favor. I don't know.
And that is a thing. And I mean, as much as I hate to say it, that is a thing in today's society as far as the gaming industry.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is consumers rely so heavily on reviews nowadays that can make or break a company.
Yeah.
And looking at Drug Dealer Simulator 2, the release date was last June. All reviews were mixed on that. In the last 30 days, 1,382 reviews. 85% of those in the last 30 are overwhelmingly negative. So for part 1 and part 2 combined.
That's insane. Yeah, I think it's all, I don't know. I mean, you could look at it one way or the other, but like that's one of the main things that indie devs will count on is wish lists and reviews. If you don't have one or the other, wish lists are good, but like also reviews, because like if your game first comes out and the reviews are already mixed. But you said this is as of late, is that he's starting to get negative reviews. So, but
In the last
like
30 days.
I mean, wish lists are good in the beginning of the game dev when the game dev is trying to release their game, and then reviews are obviously very important in the beginning and then lifelong. So, man, what a double hit. This guy's like, I mean, if it is a greed grab, then, maybe he kind of deserves it for trying to be greedy about this. But I mean, if it's legit, it kind of sucks in this guy's circumstance.
Right.
I found something real quick. I just got curious and looked it up. And there was one thing I've seen here that IGN shared. Steam smash hit Schedule 1 getting investigated by Drug Dealer Simulator publisher. Well, then right below it is PC Gamer says Drug Dealer Simulator is getting review bombed for suing Schedule 1.
That's what I thought it was.
So it's literally after they filed their lawsuit, they started getting review bombed.
That's
Wow.
terrible.
I just got curious, so I looked it up, to see like when they filed the lawsuit to see how far back it goes, and it was like at the beginning of March.
It's so weird, right? It's kind of weird seeing it happen with games in this circumstance. Like, hopefully this doesn't always happen, especially if the person's got a legit case, right? Because then they're just getting screwed. But if, you see it with like creators, you'll have like a really big time creator that's over, 5 million subscribers, and he does something wrong, and then people try jabbing at him for it, but then the community just like washes away, like, no, get out of here. We don't want to hear this, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's kind of remind me of that, but in this circumstance with games.
Yeah.
I can see
Like
that
this
for
game
sure.
did so well, and if this drug dealer simulator actually has a case, like I said, on all fronts for him, it just sucks.
In a lot of cases, companies that harbor these reviews like Steam or Yelp or any of these review sites, Google, they'll look at that kind of fraud and whatnot. So they'll take a look and say, okay, you know what, in this time frame, since this news came out, X amount of these reviews came out that are not at all like the overall reviews. And usually in a lot of cases, they'll get expunged.
Yeah. They'll kind of monitor it and make sure nothing's out of place.
Right. But it looks like so far they're not doing anything about it. So
They're just kind of like, we're going to let it ride. They made
yeah,
50
kind of
million.
stuff for movie games. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be nice. No, but yeah, I mean, besides all that, the only other games I've been playing are Stardew Valley, surprisingly, and I've also been playing. It's so funny. I have a Steam Deck, so I like playing games like that, like Stardew Valley, on my Steam Deck, or little games that I don't have to like really focus on, that I could just like hit the power button, put it down, come back to it whenever. And then I like playing my bigger games on my PC. And so obviously I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake because I'm late to the show, and I love the original Final Fantasy VII. So I'm playing that, and then I also bought Rebirth, and I'm really excited to honestly just play through them to completion and maybe be a little
Games.
obsessive about it, to be honest, because that's how I get with this. So, but yeah, so Final Fantasy on the PC, and then on my Steam Deck, I'm playing Stardew Valley, which I swear I play that game on and off like every 6 months.
I could never get into Stardew Valley. I don't know why. I've tried. I just can't get into it, and I don't know why. Because it's an incredible game. I mean, it is the standard, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it really comes down to like whenever people talk about indie games in general, like you'll hear Stardew Valley pop up right away. Like it's the GOAT when it comes to, a big I would say a big revolution in indie games becoming as popular as they are. Like he proved like here's the standard and it's achievable, for all these other devs that are out there. So there's so much to that game, dude. So much. It's so good.
Just to be honest, I've never played it now that I'm looking at it.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to add that to my Steam list.
The price is right for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say for $14.99,
Yeah.
that's damn good, because that it's kind of funny because Stardew Valley kind of set the standard for pricing as well, right? Because it's your simple, like the guy originally, he drew inspiration from Harvest Moon, right? And he wanted to make a big cohesive game about a farm simulator that had all these other elements that he felt, didn't come complete in the old Harvest Moon games. And I think he did a really good job of that. And then he put it up after making it for like 8 years. He finally released it and put it up for $14.99. And it did so damn well that he doesn't have to worry about putting his DLCs up for any amount of money. He doesn't have to worry about really making any other game. But other indie devs have to worry about putting their games up now for a certain dollar amount, because I'll hear constantly from other creators, other devs, that they're afraid to put up their game. Like if it's a smaller game that's even similar in some kind of way as a farming simulator, right? They're afraid to put it up for more than $14.99. Anything above $14.99, because they feel like they're going to get backlash. And they probably will, unfortunately, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, this game's good, but I can go play Stardew for $14.99, you know?
So that's like Schedule 1. It's $19.99. It's $20. And I'm like, it's fun to play, but as far as like content and like graphics and all that stuff, I'm like, for a $20 game, you think it would be a lot better. You can unlock everything in like a couple hours of playing. But then you got a game like Repo, which is $9.99, and it is tons of content, tons of fun. I mean, like, it's kind of hard to justify $20 when you can spend $10 and have twice the fun.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. And they have all kinds of gaming content on YouTube and everything like that as well. I mean, you can watch hours and hours upon hours of watch your streams, Chronos, of it. I just haven't I haven't dug into it yet. I have it, but I haven't had a chance to play, but it looks amazing from what I've seen. But yeah, Schedule 1, at first when you were playing it on your stream, I almost was thinking, because I didn't see your face cam up there, thinking that you were playing it in VR. It looks like a VR game whether you're playing it in VR or not. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it does have that like art style and stuff to it. Like it was almost wanted to be a VR game and they didn't release it for VR. Like that would make sense, like your virtual reality drug dealer type thing. I mean,
right? VR drug dealer. And I looked this up because I like to look up these like strange facts or this useless information and whatnot. I mean, Stardew Valley was in development for 8 years before it came out, right? It was released in 2016. So that game is already 9 years old. So some of these younger kids that started playing it, they're going to start feeling old now because it came out 9 years ago. They can feel like how I feel. But in that time, it sold over 41 million copies worldwide and has grossed just over $500 million since its release.
When you think about it, that's literally like, God. And it's just one guy. One guy made that. And what's funny is like, I've listened to a lot of things about the developer and on YouTube and stuff like that. And like the guy said, like it was rough. Like he had patches where he hated his game. He had patches where like he's like, he didn't share his game to have it play tested with anyone else. So he ended up playing it constantly, playtesting over 8 years. Could you imagine playing the same game over and over, obsessing for 8 years and not knowing after you release it if it's going to do good or not? And like
Right.
the stress it put on his family, his girlfriend or wife at the time, like not knowing. Luckily, obviously, it did super well and he has nothing to worry about, financially for the rest of his life. But
Oh, yeah. It netted $152 million.
you think about it too, like what a lot of people don't realize too is like there's a couple people that get cuts out of that, right? So he was published by Chucklefish, which usually the contracts with that aren't like crazy, they're not going to demand a big amount. Sometimes it's even like, okay, we want this amount and it's not like forever, only up to a certain point and then we're good. And then there's also the amount that Steam takes. So Steam takes their cut. And then if he did not make it in Unity or Unreal Engine, I don't think, now looking back on it. But if he had, then those game engines take a cut. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. He made so much that it doesn't matter how many cuts were made out of it. He still made out like a bandit, but, and obviously he deserved it.
yeah, I mean that's definitely, you put in the work and all that years of testing and building and playing. Yeah, that's good to see it pay off.
If I spent that long making a game right before release, I'd feel sick to my stomach. I would be like questioning my life choices. Like if this doesn't work, the stress.
Well, that's the thing. You're never going to hit the nail on the head every time. You're always like, and it's not just in game development, it's anything you do. Some things are going to be absolute fails and some things are going to be wild successes. And, we have to try. That's the only way that we can really move forward with anything is to get it out there and see how it does for sure. I mean, it's the same thing with content creation. You know how it is. One video can take off and go crazy, and I have one that I've got one that has like tens of thousands of views, like a video. I've got one that has over 150,000 views. I have a new short that just came out about a week ago, and it's got 26 views. I mean, it's kind of just it's hit or miss for sure.
Yeah. I mean, for that one big success, there's, 10 failures that we didn't see. So, or you could say failures, but maybe not because maybe those people went on to create other things that became successes. It's a matter of not giving up on it.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't, you got to stick with it. Take your losses as what did I do wrong? How do I do it better?
Yeah.
Did you know that Stephen King threw away his manuscript of Carrie?
Really?
Yeah, somebody, who was it that said they got it out of the trash? And
His wife
like,
got it out of the trash. So the
Yeah,
thing is,
and
he had for years been writing story after story after story and kept getting rejected by the publisher and whatnot. And so last time with Carrie, he's like, the hell with it. Threw it out. His wife dug it out of the trash and sent it into the publisher, and it was a hit. That was his first break. Which I think is very relevant to what we're talking about here, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's the more we try, the more we tweak, the more we adjust.
And there could be those things too, like, you'll make a video or something and like, man, this just, I don't think this is going to do any good. So then you never post it. Then all of a sudden, like one day you post it and it's like the best one you've ever had or something.
Absolutely.
Like that hidden treasure that you thought was going to be trash. It's like, and it's the same with games. I mean, a lot of people probably make a game that could be, well, the Stardew Valley. I mean, it's like, how many games are out there like that never got published because people were like, oh, this ain't going to be no good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even the developer of Stardew Valley said before he released it, he almost didn't. He almost just like gave up. He was like, I can't do it. You imagine like if he just gave up on that, what all the amazing, the success he got out of it, never to be had.
That's so true.
Yeah.
All because you decided not to hit a button.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So, I mean, but coming back to it, man, $14.99 for Stardew, right? So you guys, Maz, you got to give it another try. Kronos, you got to play it.
I'll definitely get it. Like I said, I got it in my cart. It's there. It's ready to go.
But I will also say it is not for everyone. It is what some people would call it, quote unquote, a cozy game. So it's not for everyone, but it was for me. So, and not surprisingly, not for my wife. She didn't really get into it that much either. So, I mean, it just depends on the person. But like I said, it's just crazy for how much I've gotten out of that game for $14.99. Like that game has paid for itself, well over compared to many other games. I think I've logged like over 600 hours of gameplay on that game compared to, maybe Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where I probably don't even have close to that, right? And you probably could get well close to that or more if you're trying to, perfect everything, get completionist. So you got this AAA game that's worth $60 versus this indie game that's worth $14.99. Sometimes a lot of people will sit back and go like, how do you justify pricings of games? If you're looking at a game that's if you're looking at a game that's 99 cents to $5, are you immediately in your head, are you going, nah, this game's probably garbage, but it looks interesting, so I'll throw a little at it and try it out? Or like, what's your expectations?
Like, yeah, like, I mean, I usually try, like I said, cut it off at like $5. If something like, hey, I'll try this out, like I'll spend $5 on it and see how it is. If it's not that good. It's not that a lot of money wasted,
I'm with you on that. I might be willing to go a little bit higher, 10 to 15. If the game is well known, 20, if it has good reviews and you get all, and I've got a whole server full of people who are like, oh, you got to try this, you got to try that. You guys are the same way. You guys have that same type of thing. So user reviews from the horse's mouth, people that actually know you and hang out with you and know what your styles are and whatnot. When somebody says like new, if you're like, hey, you got to try this again, I'm going to try it again. Maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance, right? Those are the types of games that I do like every once in a while. I'm more action RPG style, but sometimes you just want to chill out and hang out, kind of leaning more towards survival games and whatnot, but that doesn't really have anything to do with Stardew Valley. But if it's a good game and people are saying, hey, this is great, you got to try this out, I might spring even $15, $20 for an indie unknown game for sure. And if you're not out much if it's a complete flop.
Yeah. So like, with the whole Stardew Valley, how you were saying, like a game that's kind of like different from what I normally play, like I'm probably going to get it because I just seen that it's on the Nintendo Switch. So I can play it at work. I take my Switch to work with me all the time and play like Pokemon and stuff. Well, see, it's, it's a handheld game. I can just carry it right in there, sit in my toolbox. And
yeah, I'll be in my office, guys, if you need anything.
Do you feel like if you paid more, if you paid like, say if you paid the $14.99 on a game and it was a flop, like complete, and it was like garbage, right? And obviously you're going to be upset that you kind of blew money on that compared to a $4.99 game. It's just, I guess, are you standards to be close to AAA, or are you just like, well, are you throwing a gamble when you buy a $14.99 game or a $20 game? Are you just like, all right, this isn't that much money, but I'll try it?
I can gamble with $15 if a game's going to be good or not. These games are now going up to $69.99, $79.99 for base games now. Forget the DLC. Don't even get me started on the DLC. But the thing is, at the same time, we're looking at, $15 for a new game developer. Let's give them a chance and whatnot. And if it's not that good, well, guess what? I have that developer. I won't buy it again, or I'll be a little bit more cautious next time. But I won't feel like I got screwed if I were like as if I were to drop $70. Be like, this game sucks. That's a big loss versus 15, $20, even $10.
Yeah, see, I've come, I've spent quite a few $70 games that were just complete trash. Like Battlefield 2042, when that released, that was horrible. Like everybody hated that game because it was like it wasn't balanced, it was glitchy. It was like $80 for that game for just the base, and it was like $100 for the pre-release, which a lot of us bought. And I'm at that point of spending $100 on a big AAA title. Throw 10 or 15 at a game, and if it doesn't turn out to be that good, hey, I'll come back and try it later. Maybe they've updated it. I'm more lenient on a cheaper game.
Yes, me too. Absolutely. And here's a nice thing. And a lot of people are taking up on it. I think that's really what the idea of it was too. Because here's the thing. Microsoft is really ramping up their game, guys. Think about that. They own ZeniMax. They own Blizzard.
Oh, I know.
This is ridiculous what Xbox is doing, what Microsoft is doing. Not even Xbox, Microsoft. Now you got that Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass. Not only is it for your console, your Xbox console, but it's also for your PC. So, give you an example. Atom Fall just came out last week. $49.99, which is actually really rare that it was that inexpensive. I'm sorry, inexpensive compared to, that's how it used to be. It used to be $50 for games. That's how it should still be. But when they came out with the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, that's when they decided, hey, we're gonna ramp it up to $60, and now we're just kind of eking up more and more. But the thing is, with the Xbox Game Pass, if I didn't have $50 to blow on Atom Fall, or if I didn't want to risk purchasing that because other people are saying that's okay, it's great, it's new, it's something different, it's Rebellion, which is a AA game, right? But I could just spend my $10 a month on Game Pass, download that for free, play it, and if I don't like it, then guess what? No problem, because my $10 a month, my $15 a month, I could play all the games I want that's on that catalog. And so I think that really helps tremendously as well.
And see, that's one thing I was just thinking that kind of helps indie games too, is a lot of times developers, they'll do a demo so people can try the game out before they ever even pay it. So then, like, most of the time, if you've already tried the game out in that demo and then you buy the actual game, most of the time you're already wanting to play that game more.
Yeah, I usually go off of doesn't matter. Like, usually when I buy a game, right, I'll look at it, and like my price range usually is like the $14.99 to $20. I don't usually buy games that are cheaper than that because I'm very bad about thinking that it's kind of like shovelware. Like, all right, I don't even want to waste my time with that, which probably isn't good because a lot of games I'm probably missing out by doing that.
Yeah, so one thing I just personally do is, like, I watch a YouTuber cartoons a lot, and he plays a lot of like these indie games, like they'll find games to play as a group and stuff, and like if it looks like it's fun with them playing as a group, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, I think
Now, like, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that like demos that help having other creators play the game help if you're really on the fence of like, am I gonna try this out? Am I gonna spend the money on this? I also go by what I was thinking of before, is I go by a rule of if I play a game for at least an hour, at least bare minimum. Sometimes that's not even enough for some of these games with how in depth they are. But if the next day I think about that game, then if that was a demo or whatever, I'm 100% in. I'm buying it up and I'm going to, obviously get into it. But if I'm not like really thinking about that game the next day, then I don't waste my time. I drop it. And that's a good, to your point, Maz, is like Game Pass is like, it's nice having that because I could download a game and if it's good, then cool, I could buy it so I don't have to worry about it getting off a Game Pass and losing that, right? But if it's not good, I uninstall it and yeah, whatever. Not a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like the rest is history, but yeah, I agree with you on that whole, like, it's like if I, like the Spell Brigade, when I was playing that a while back, like that game was like, I was at work, like messaging my buddy, like, hey man, you want to try this tonight or you want to try that tonight? I'm like, and that's one of those games that, you're going to play a lot. But then I also have games that like I've played them one time. Like I have, I think it's called Teardown. Like you got to destroy like buildings and stuff.
Game.
Like I played it like one time and it was like kind of really glitchy and stuff. And I never played it since then. Like it's got like 10 minutes of playtime on the game.
That's one I have not tried. I have not played that one.
I think I only played that once as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, it seemed like it was gonna be fun, and then I tried it. Like I said, it was so awkward of a game that I just like it's sitting here on my home screen. Like I could click on it right now and play it, but I'm really like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah. I think it's hard when you're going to pick out a game and you're worried about because obviously it's hard-earned money, you're putting it on something that you're expecting something out of, and when it's a flop, I mean, it really, like, obviously, it's if it's not that much, then it's not that bad, but if you got, like, 4 of those in a row, then it's like, "Well, crap, I coulda bought a AAA game that maybe would've been, worth my time," but I think it also goes to a point, Maz, you had brought this up before about indie games probably being more affordable and, like, better just because they're passion projects. They're
Passion
not.
projects across the board, they're not money grabs, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those types of situations where, like I'll use you pneumatics as an example on your dev streams that you've done for the game that you're developing. You're putting heart into that. You're not part of a team of 70 people that have 70 different tasks to put everything together in concert. You're doing the design, you're doing the storyboard, you're doing the graphics, you're doing the animations. I mean, you might be outsourcing, sound, which is one of the more difficult things to do and whatnot, but you're doing the coding, you're putting your heart and soul into that. And it's hard to find a AAA studio that is paying people that are just like, I'm passionate. And I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just saying that they're there for the paycheck. You're making this whether you get, have a big payoff or not. This is a goal of yours, a passion project. So typically the ones that have a knack for what for development and for coding and everything like that, the ones that are, that have the know-how and the desire and the drive, those are usually some of the stronger games that came out. I mean, Stardew Valley, it might not be my cup of tea, but you've put over 600 hours into it. The guy spent 8 years developing, coding, designing, playtesting, and then crossing his fingers when he hit that publish button. So all there is in that game, and I can feel that, is there's a lot of love in that game, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Big time. I think, putting it forward on that, like, even more so is that I think that's why indie games probably do so well like they do, even if they're small, because of how much passion comes through, especially if it's only created by one person, or even if it's created by a small team of like 3 to 5, still considered indie because it's a small team that created a game together. It's amazing how much more story driven, how much more in depth you get, how much you yourself can get drawn into that game because it's almost like you're seeing inside, like, you're looking through the window of like their personality coming through and like they're communicating to you through their game. It's not like, because you think of these AAA studios, it's, you got your coding team, you got your artist team, you got your level design team, you got your world design team. Like you got all these teams of people, of like 30 plus people for each team. And can you really say like, yeah, maybe they do love their job and they love what they're doing, but do you really think that is showing through as much as one person working on their solo project for something that they want to show the world? I don't know. I think it speaks for itself with how well indie games are doing right now.
Yeah, so like on the repo thing, like they did an update video. I don't know if you followed that or anything, but the developers did an update video, and like in their video, it's like just them at their house where they made the game. But like they went in and edited the video to have like the little robot sitting there talking to the guy, asking him questions and stuff. And like I'm a diehard Halo fan, which is, definitely a AAA title. And their videos for updates are just a person standing here staring at a camera. It's like no enthusiasm in the videos at all. And then like the games are just getting progressively worse too. So it's like back to what y'all were saying, like a big team is just there for the money, and these indie game developers are like really passionate about it. They're having fun with it. They're doing what they love.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it comes down to too, like sometimes you'll see these indie developers when they have a really good game that releases, they'll go out and they'll get a team, and then they make another game and it does well, and then they make their team bigger and bigger, and then they turn into a AA studio or even a AAA studio, how successful they are. And sometimes they can lose that what they had in the beginning with people, and it becomes more of a money grab. Maybe sometimes it becomes more of a greed thing because maybe not to their fault, but kind of their fault, is that now they're not just relying on their paycheck, they're relying on many people's paychecks. So you got to worry about everyone else. You got to worry about, and like I was saying earlier, you got to worry about the cuts from all these other places. Like if you're going through a publisher, you got to worry about that cut. You got to worry about the cut from the engine you're using. You got to worry about the cut from Steam and any other cuts that might be taken from Xbox or any other platforms you release on. They want their part of the cut. So I think that might be why, like the behind the scenes things that maybe some people don't think of is like, right, games being, 50 to $70 now. You would think like, well, why is it that much? It's not a physical copy anymore. You can go buy a physical copy. I would expect a physical copy to cost more because they had to have it manufactured somewhere and then delivered by a company to a retail store to get sold to someone. So like there's many other points of getting cuts. But then you think back, well, what I was saying is like with a digital copy, there are other cuts that people don't realize. So that is probably why with more and more games being released, and you would think it would be the opposite, more games being released, less likely or the lower the prices would be because, oh, we're getting, Steam's getting this much money from, just exaggeration of like 1 million people instead of 10,000 people. But it's the opposite, they might be up. And now I don't think they have up their cuts, but if they do, then that's why game prices go up.
Yeah. I mean, like it's all so not indie game related, but like just on the subject of like, the whole money. Halo with Halo Infinite, where they made it a free to play game, all the armor got monetized. So
Really?
like, yeah, like all the armor, like upgrades and stuff, like, to get the different looks, it's all monetized now. And people hate that because they're like, just charge us $60 for the game and give us this stuff to unlock for free.
Nope.
But it's corporates getting involved that are like so wanting the money that, that's what ruins a lot of games is like you said, just the money grab type thing.
Now I'm getting pissed off. this is like one of my biggest. Yeah, this is like one of my biggest hot buttons right there. They did that with Payday 2, if you remember. All it's a $60 game like you were talking about, but then paywall timers. They had, monetization, microtransactions, DLC,
Yeah.
And the thing is, Pneumatics, I get what you're saying. It's, there's different cuts from different people, but you know what? We were selling $50 hard copy games, 50 million hard copy games before we went mostly digital. I think we're all in agreement. Most things are digital this day and age.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything.
Right. They made a ton of profit off of that. The artwork, the manufacturing, the shipping, the cut that they got from the retailers that bought the games and everything. They were doing fine. The problem is now it's a little bit of greed. It's paying those developers. It's paying the employees. It's that overhead and whatnot. But then on top of that, you got that DLC, so we can get these games out faster. And I feel that DLC abuse is out there. I don't think anybody calls it that but me, but it's DLC abuse. Now, people are like...
Oh, no, it is.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I'm just agreeing. I'm like, it's DLC abuse.
Yeah, it's DLC abuse because the way DLC is supposed to be is, hey, it's been a couple years. We want to support this. Here you go. Here's some more. And I'll give you an example of a couple different examples. Hello Games, No Man's Sky. One of the best games I've ever played. That is an absolute experience to play that game. I don't know if you guys have ever played it, but it's incredible.
Love it.
Absolutely incredible. Worst game to ever hit the shelves when it came out. They promised everything and it was empty space. And there's like a random number generator that will allow you to, I think you can spawn 40 trillion different planets. And if you were to play with one other player, you will most likely never find each other in that game unless it's multiplayer, because everything is generated randomly and whatnot. The planets, the terrain, the fauna, the flora, it's all generated at the time you show up to that. But they didn't have any of that. That's what they promised. They didn't have any of that. So what did they do? They went back to the drawing board. And they worked and they worked and they worked to make that better. And they had such terrible reviews. They had such negative feedback for everything that they had done that people swore off of it. And it took them years to get people's opinions to sway. But now they're still supporting it, came out in 2016, I believe. And at this point, they keep releasing more and more content, more DLC. And guess what? It doesn't cost a dime. That's how you support your games. But now, some games are like, well, you can buy the season pass. What's a season pass to you guys? How do you guys look at a season pass?
It depends. It truly depends on what's like how they incorporate it. OG like Fortnite battle passes, I thought they were kind of cool, you know. You got a skin at the very end that was hard to get to because it was like you had to grind to get there. It wasn't just easy level ups. You couldn't buy levels. You couldn't just XP share, you know. So like those type of things, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. But then you got other battle passes, like I'll use Halo as an example. They put double XP boost and they put shop coins in the battle pass to unlock. To me, that's not what I'm buying a battle pass for.
Right, exactly. What about you, New? How do you look at season passes?
I think there's a time and place for Battle Pass, and some games definitely are good with them, and others are not. And I do think that, yeah, I think they've been taken advantage of, or they are taking advantage of the player when it comes to those season passes.
Sure. The way I look at it, and you guys both said something similar. It depends on the circumstances. But 9 times out of 10, the way I look at this is, screw it. I want to get this out and make money on it now. And instead of supporting that and just adding it later on or waiting until that's part of the game, they're just like, hey, screw it. We're gonna charge you 25 extra bucks, and you can buy more of the game later when we get around to it. That's how I take it. I think it's extremely wrong. What I would like to see DLC used for is something like Skyrim. Skyrim's been out since 2011. There's no Elder Scrolls 6 in sight, even though it was announced in 2018 that they were going to make another Elder Scrolls. I've got nothing but Starfield crap. I got Fallout 76, which came out completely broken. I'm at a point where I would like to see, because they're not making these games, they're dragging their feet on the games that we really want, Bethesda, but you keep doing what you guys do. I would love to see some DLC for the games that are already out there, if they're going to do it that way. Maybe another 20 hours of gameplay content for the old games that everybody loves. A good reason to go back and play that game some more. Fallout, they're doing it with all kinds of older games. That would be a great DLC to add. I would be willing to pay that if they are going to build on top of games that already exist, but not, hey, the game's releasing right now. You can buy it for $70 or you can buy it for $100 because you'll get more. Like, why am I getting more? Why is my $70 not good enough to have all of that? And that's the stuff that I don't like. And the problem, what compounds the problem for me, is the fact that they are doing this to the people that have made them successful from the beginning. Because without the player, without the gamer, you're nothing. And that's the problem that I have. Now you're biting the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. So are you talking, so when it comes to the season pass, you're talking like battle passes, right? Am I correct on that?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by battle pass. I know battle pass.
Well, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever the game classifies it as.
Let me use it. Now I'll use this example, okay? Because this is a ridiculous example. We'll go back to 2017, Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, first of all, that game is still $60. So incorrect. It's an 8-year-old game. It's a great game. Don't get me wrong. But I'll be honest. I'm not paying $60 for this game. The season pass is $39.99 on top of that. So $100 for the game. Now, I could do it in 3 different installments. I could do the Assassin's Creed Origins base game. I could do the deluxe edition for $70. So for $10 more, so I can get some extra, weaponry and some armor and whatnot. Or I could buy it for $99.99, which is the gold edition, which is also the same thing as buying the base game and the season pass. Now, that comes with the hidden ones, the Curse of the Pharaohs, and the Roman Centurion pack, and the Horus pack. So the hidden ones and the Curse of the Pharaohs, 2 separate maps, 2 separate storylines, more content. So rather than waiting a little bit longer and adding that to the game, they decided, here's the game, and we'll throw this in later when we get around to it. That's my problem.
I didn't know that's what you meant. I guess I never came across a game that I bought that had a season pass to it. I've always bought games that, well, more battle royales that had the battle pass, which I'm okay with, and that's what I meant. But like you talking about the season pass, the way I'm hearing it, nah, hell no, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with that at all. I'm okay, like it's so weird to say, like I'm okay with battle passes because like it's there if you want it. You can play the game no matter what. But if you don't want to get the battle pass to get the extra skins in it and everything as the battle pass goes through that season of like the battle royale, like I'm thinking back to when Realm Royale was still around and they had that battle pass. It was like, sure, I like this one. I like the skins in this one. So yeah, I'll get the battle pass and I'll play through it. And that was fun. But like just outright, yeah, this game's buy this season pass bundle, whatever, and you'll get this content when we get to it. Like that's so scammy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what my problem is with that. You know, there are other examples as well. You got Borderlands 2, which is a huge classic, but I will share with you guys right now that if you want that, it's $4.99 for the base game. So at this point, if I'm going ahead, because it's on sale right now, it's normally $20. It's on sale, 75% off, $5 on Steam. Or I can buy the Borderlands 2 Game of the Year edition. It's $8 right now. Otherwise, it's $40 instead of $20, which is still okay because it's been discounted. It's been discounted. But the thing is that when that came out, it was, Borderlands. I had to buy the season pass so I could get Captain Scarlet and her pirate booty. I also wanted to get Mr. Torg's Campaign of Carnage. Also the DLC Sir Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt. And don't forget Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. And then, of course, the Borderlands 2 Psycho Pack, which was all purchased separately. Or for one low $40, now you guys got me saying it, Battle Pass. But now for one low season pass price. So I spent back when it was $50 for a game, and then it was $20. So I was paying $70, let's say, well, that was 2012. So I was paying $70 total, let's call it 11 years ago, for all of that, which was still ridiculously priced. With inflation and everything like that, they're still doing it, but they're doing it more often. It's one thing for the DLC. Hey, you want to buy more? Great, buy more. But if you are releasing this extra content at the same time you're releasing the base game, that's BS to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I play Destiny 2 a lot, and they do really good on how they do their season passes. And like when the game came out, there was not a season pass. Well, sorry, they had a season pass, but what it was for was it literally gave you, I guess, what we would call the battle passes. Like you could buy the season pass and there was 4 of them throughout the year, and you just bought one time and you got all 4 of them. And that's how Destiny done it. But then every 2 years they come out with a $60 update, like a big change, but it changes the entire game. So you're pretty much buying a whole new game at that point. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of okay with that because it's like they change the entire game through and through when they do it. So it's like,
I am 100% on board with you on that one, man. Do you know why? Because it's been X amount of years, right? At this point, you've played through the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's like, okay, hey, if y'all are changing, like, even just the starting map that you play on, like, the free world, like, if you're adding new events to that, and new weapons, new armor, new enemies, I'm all for paying a bigger price for the whole game.
Absolutely. 2 games do really, really well with that. Elder Scrolls Online and Final Fantasy XIV. Those 2 are excellent with their DLC. Here's how it works. It looks like, so it sounds to me, based on what I'm reading though, the ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, is no longer making expansion packs, which is really, really sad to hear because every year they'd come out with a new chapter, they'd add to Tamriel. So you started out with Somerset, then you got, Deshaun, then you got Skyrim, then you got Morrowind. Like they just added different chapters throughout the years. But if I could buy that, so I could use ESO Plus, which was $15 a month, and I didn't have to buy, as long as I had ESO, I didn't have to buy any of the expansion packs after they released. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that, expansion pack 1 comes out. I can't, with ESO Plus, I can play everything up to that. I can't play expansion pack 1. A year later, expansion pack 2 comes out. Now, I still have ESO Plus, but now my ESO Plus also includes me being able to play expansion pack 1. I can't play 2 unless I buy it. So for $30, only $30, $20 in some cases, I can buy that expansion pack. Now I can play all of them, whether I have ESO Plus or not. Let's say I leave for 3 or 4 years. And so all those expansion packs are building up in the time that I'm gone. But when I come back, let's say we're up to expansion pack 6, and I only had 1 and 2, right? I buy expansion pack 6, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for that one price. It covers everything. That's okay. Same thing with Final Fantasy 14. Every 2 years, they put in a massive expansion pack on it. Like, it's an entire storyline that just completely unfolds and further develops your character. It is incredible. I get goosebumps thinking about it. You come back, you spend $40, you get that expansion pack. You don't play for 4 years. 2 expansion packs have come out since then. You buy that latest one, you have all of the expansion packs. Now, that's a good value because that didn't come out when the game initially released. This is hey, it's been a while, and of course I'm going to support my favorite games, but they're doing it properly because they're giving me a good value. I mean, that's how I support that because it's not something that came out at the same time the original game released. It is an added value to it, and it's an entire storyline that's being added to it. It's not just your run-of-the-mill, well, we just didn't have time to fix it, to put it all in there. So go ahead and buy this for now, and then you can buy more later. This is a well-thought-out chapter, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah. See, that's what Destiny does with their updates. I'm on the same terms with you on that.
Right.
So I think I get what you're saying with at least DLCs, right? So as long as, say, because I know you were saying, which is what I would agree with, is if a game's been out for a while, right? Maybe even a year, and all of a sudden they're like announcing a DLC, more likely to be like, yeah, I'm cool with that. Another expansion to help me or bring me back to the game and enjoy it even more of a game that I really loved, right? But if they're trying to release that DLC with the release of the game, then is it really a DLC, or are they just trying to, or is it just a paywall, you know?
That's
I think
exactly it.
Yeah, so I 100% agree with that, that I'm cool. Bring out more DLCs for games. I love that to continue on, especially games that I really love. I'm curious on going back to bringing Stardew up so much, but like Stardew, the creator said, he tweeted out on X, he goes, I will never charge a dime for any DLC for Stardew Valley, forever. He will never charge for his DLCs, which came across to some people as a bit arrogant, which to some people a bit arrogant, and others are like, yay, awesome. I can always get DLCs for free from this guy of this game I really love. And the reason why there's this mix, right, is because obviously people want stuff for free for the game they love. And then the other is like, well, that's cool. You can do that because your game was so successful. But now, just like his game being $14.99 for an indie game, kind of putting that barrier for a lot of other indie games to kind of stay around that price point. Now he's also put I don't think it's going to be as effective, but on other indie developers coming out with the game and a year later coming out with a DLC and them having to ask themselves, well, do I put it out for free or do I put a price on it because I don't want to get backlash, you know? How do you feel about that? But like, I don't know if you guys have come across any indie games that come out with DLCs. The only one I know of is Stardew Valley, but maybe I haven't played enough.
Well, you have Phasmophobia, which is another one. They don't charge for their updates.
There you go.
I'm trying to think of one I got.
I agree with that just because I don't think you should nickel and dime your fan base.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that you can't charge for DLC. I mean, if he's like, I'll use No Man's Sky again as an example. As far as I'm concerned, they have made it right. People that initially went in and paid $60 for that game got screwed. And they say, hey, look, you know what? We're going to make it right. We're going to turn this around. And then they said after like Next, which was one of their updates, the next update, that they were done supporting it. Like they weren't going to make any more DLC. They're still making content for it, which is incredible. If they decided at some point, I'm going to start charging for that, I could support that. The game is almost 10 years old. It's almost 9 years old. So to throw them some money to support their DLC, their content, in order to continue to make content, that makes sense. Polar opposite, Fallout 76. Started out terrible, bad PR. They don't charge for their DLC either. They don't charge for their updates. They nickel and dime you in the Atom store instead. I still don't think, based on how that game started out, still very sore at Fallout 76. I don't believe that they should be charging for upgrades and stuff like that. And I think that they need to tone it down with the microtransactions as well. Start giving some things away for free, because you've got a monthly membership that you get, which does give you a stipend of some atoms and whatnot. I think you get like 15 or 1600 atoms every month with your purchase. But I'd like to see these companies do more like No Man's Sky or like Stardew Valley and not charge for the content that you purchased. But again, kind of going back to it, it does, and I think this answers your question, New. It does kind of put other indie developers that maybe won't have as much success with their games, in a bind when it comes to, hey, I need this money so I can continue to develop. I think it's case by case.
What do you think, Kronos?
So, yeah, I agree. It does, because it's like, do we follow the standard or do we try it? It's like, because it might be like, you might release a DLC or an update. It's like huge for the game. And it's like, this was a lot of work. It's like, do we just throw it out here for free, or do we? I get what you're saying on that, because it does. I'm sure it comes down to like how much work they put into it.
Yeah, I think so. My perspective is looking at it. If it's so funny, because if it's an indie developer, I'm probably gonna be like more lenient about it. But like, if Fallout 76 came out and they were like, yeah, we're going to charge everyone for our DLCs after our game was a bust from the beginning, then it'd be kind of, I'd be kind of pissed about it. But like for indie games, yeah, like say Repo. Let's say Repo in 6 months says, hey, we got a DLC for our game, and they're going to charge for it. But they most indie developers, they lay out a why, and that's the difference, right? So they'll be like,
yeah,
maybe it's going to help fund their next title. You're like, hey, Repo was a really good success for us, and we want to keep the studio going, and we want to hire on another artist for our next title, and this will help by releasing this DLC for this much, whatever. I'd be okay with that. Plus, I might, even if they didn't give me a why, I'd probably be okay, just because it's such a good game. I'm really cool with that. But maybe that's also my bias of like, if I really like a game and I want more of it, I'm willing to buy a DLC for it.
Yeah, the Spell Brigade, the game I played quite a bit, they have a DLC pack for skins, and that's all it is. But it's literally called the supporter pack, and in the description it says support the developing team by purchasing this pack. And it's like, it's just skins for your characters. It's not going to change the game completely if you don't buy it, but it helps them out if you do. Like,
That's cool. I like that.
But their updates are still free for the game. Like they detailed like, hey, this is coming, new wizards are coming, new spells are coming, new enemies, and it's all free, but they have these packs that you can still support them with. And I've bought all of them that they've released, because I'm like, okay, hey, look, y'all got a good game, y'all releasing good updates, I'll buy a skin pack, I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're being rewarded in essence for donating to them to keep the project alive. So there's nothing wrong with that.
All right. On that note, we will go ahead and get to our question of the pod, the answers from the poll we posted, and possibly even an email question after this break. Hey, Indie Hangout fans, want to hang out with me, Pneumatics, Maz, and Kronos? Join our Discord community. It's a place to chat about the latest episodes, vote on polls, and even ask us questions that could be featured on the next show. Don't miss out. Go to the show notes below and join the Discord community to hang out with other fans and join the conversation with us. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Indie Hangout Podcast with me, Maz, and Kronos. Me as in Pneumatics. Just me. That's me. Okay.
Hi, it's me.
It's me.
It's me.
So we wanted to go ahead and go off with a question of the pod, which is, what game did you buy that was super cheap that just blew your mind? You're like, there's no way I stole this game for $10 and I've got so much good content out of it. What do you think, Kronos? Is there any kind of game that comes to mind right away?
you've played it with me, I gotta go with Repo. I mean, for $10, and it's as much laughing. I've laughed harder playing that game than I have any game in my life.
Mess.
What about you, Maz?
For $20, you can be the hero of Sushi Town, and it's not Sumo Man. It's not Sumo Man, but it is one of the best indie games I've ever played, and that is Dave the Diver. I don't know if y'all have played it before. It has some Stardew Valley overtones to it, in that you do your own fishing, you do your own harvesting, because you are a sushi restaurant owner that at night who goes out during the day and fishes for fresh product every day for each evening. Absolutely incredible story. It's 8-bit, but it is phenomenal. I would definitely recommend that. And there is hours upon hours and hours of content with it. I grinded it. It was when I was not streaming. I'm kicking myself in the butt for it because I completed it. I got every achievement you possibly could in it. It was so much fun. I played it for 72 hours straight. Not straight, but I mean, I put 72 hours of content in it. $20 game. Definitely would recommend it.
I think I'm going to sound like a broken record with Stardew Valley.
So I was going to say Stardew Valley, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to be that guy that says,
no, if that's the answer, right?
yeah, I mean, dude, $14.99. And like I said, I got 600 plus hours of gameplay in it. And like, when I go to grab my Steam Deck, I used to play it on my Switch, but my dog ate like a part of it. Okay, she didn't eat it, but she like bit into it. And now one of the Joy-Cons isn't recognized when you slide it in. So that kind of defeats the purpose of like handheld. Regardless, anyways, my Steam Deck, whenever I pick it up, that's the game. Like, I have all these games on Steam that I could play on my Steam Deck, but I choose Stardew all the time. So
That's good.
dude, $14.99. I think I got my money's worth.
Yeah, I'd say for sure, especially 600 hours out of it. I mean, that's pennies per hour, if that much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really cool that we just did, I don't think we realized it, we pointed out a $10 game, a $15 game, and a $20 game.
Yeah. So
yeah, that is true. We covered pretty much the three main price ranges.
And all three of those together don't even reach the amount of a single AAA game.
Yeah.
We're talking.
So $40 and we could have probably more fun than we would with a $70 game. Actually, no, not probably. Not probably. We would have more fun.
Yep. And I guarantee you probably a cumulative of about 1,000 hours amongst those three games.
yeah. I mean, it's insane when you really put it that way.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Because I've seen Dave the Diver, or I think it's, yeah. I've seen that game played. It is fun. Like, it looks like it'd be fun. I haven't tried it, but it does look like it'd be a lot of fun.
I might break it out on my stream at some point again, just because it's so good. It's one of my favorite games.
You know what I'm going to say, though? I mean, I've been fangirling over Stardew this whole time, right? But I will say a close second that I almost forgot about is Moonstone Island. Moonstone Island is $11.99, and that game I don't have as much playtime in. Killer game. I bought it not having high expectations, played it, and was like, wow, this person put a lot of work into this game. So yeah, just needed to throw that out there. I was looking through my Steam library real quick. I'm like, is there any other game that? Oh yeah,
That's kind of what I've been doing. I'm like, wait a minute, another game. I can't remember what I paid for it. I can't see it. Liar's Bar. That game is actually pretty fun.
I think that one's $5.
Wow.
I know that one's cheap. That one is really cheap. And it is like between Liar's Bar and Repo, man, we have laughed so much at those games. And like, so if it's $5, that's $20. And I've laughed harder at those two games than I have in probably 20 years of gaming. I mean, that's
right now it's $6.99.
So yeah, like it's just, I forgot all about that one until I was looking through my Steam library.
Yeah. But if you take those three games that we talked about, that's $45. We say that would probably be about 1,000 hours worth of gameplay. It's 4 cents an hour.
That's crazy.
Stupid.
Wow.
Like the only two other games in my gaming history that I've had with like that many hours in is Halo Reach and Pokemon Ruby.
Wow.
That tells you right
Pokemon
there.
Ruby, we had me and my dad, which me and my dad was playing it, so it was actually two of us, but we had like 280 some hours in that game. Halo Reach, I had like 76 days of playtime in that game. After that, I have never had like over 30 days in a game.
Wow. So why we paying so much for games, right?
I don't know.
Now
It
you drag me back into it.
takes so long to get into PC gaming is what I need to ask myself.
Oh yeah, such a game changer when you get into PC gaming compared to consoles.
Oh, dude, Iris Bar, Repo, Spell Brigade. Like, I'd never really played a PC game with anybody until those 3 games. Now I don't even turn my Xbox on. I'm
Yeah.
like, I really ought to turn this Xbox on. I mean, I paid for it and bought all these games for it. And no, a $7 indie game. Let's play.
You guys are familiar with CD keys, correct?
I have heard of it one time from another podcast, believe it or not, and I haven't gotten into it though yet, which is kind of dumb on my part. I should have, but
CDkeys.com right now. Dave the Diver on Steam. $9.89. If you want the Diver Deluxe, Dave the Diver Deluxe Edition, it's $11.89.
and that game goes for usually
It's $20.
20. Jeez,
That is crazy. I'm
There you
actually
go.
looking at it right now. Yeah.
half the price.
Yep, half price right there. Stardew Valley, $15.59. It's actually more on CD Keys.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, right? But I'll give you another example. Atom Fall, which released on PC and Xbox. It's $49.99. You can get it on CD Keys for $38.29.
Wow. Yeah, I need to get on that.
CDkeys.com,
Yeah.
man.
I need to figure out how to buy that because I'm going to buy that Dave the Diver. that game
Yeah.
does look fun. So,
Yeah, so all you do, so you run off of Steam, correct?
yeah.
Okay, so what you would do there is you buy the game, it would send you a code, and then you just go into your Steam in the lower left corner, and you'll see it says add a game, and you just paste the code in there, and it'll go into your library.
Done.
Easy
Say no more.
peasy. Yeah,
Say no more. I'm getting this game.
yeah, that game is sick. Yeah, I'll tell you, dude, you're gonna get caught up on Dave. It's a lot of fun.
That's why I'm not getting it right yet. I will though.
I just bought it.
No, you're screwed. You're screwed.
You're dead, dude. You're dead.
So, all right. Over on our polls over on X, we asked you, what price range do you typically buy indie games for? And the options you had were under $5, $5 to $10, or $10 to $20. Before we give out the results, Mass, what did you pick?
10 to 20. I mean, you want to be careful of some of these cheaper games, like the $1 games. Anything under $5, it's really gonna. I mean, it's low risk, right? But there's a reason why they're under $5 as well.
What about you, Kronos?
I'm drawing a blank, but I think I did 10 to 20 also. Couldn't remember because I was like, I know I'm like a big like 5 to 10 person, but I was like here lately I think I was like, a little more. So yeah, I did pick 10 to 20.
Nice. So that means all 3 of us picked 10 to 20, which was the winner of the poll. So 67% of people thought or didn't think they do. They buy $10 to $20 games on average, which it seems on average between the 3 of us. I think that's a good price range, honestly. $10 to $20. It seems like really polished, not even just polished, just good games are around that price point. You may have a diamond in the rough, like, with that $4.99 game or even a $1 game, right? But on average, you could probably have a safe bet with buying a game between 10 and 20, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. You're in that price range where it's like they're not trying to just get every penny they can, but you're also not in that price range where it's like, oh, it's only going to be a $3 game. Let's just throw something together.
Yeah, which there's a little bit too much of that sometimes on Steam.
That's what I worry about.
And that's what I was saying earlier, that quote unquote shovelware. It's, it's those games that people drop for $1, and it's literally sometimes, dude, it's crazy. Like sometimes you go on there and I can't believe people will release something like that, like something broken for $1, because when you make a Steam page and you go to release your game, you have to pay Steam $100.
$100. Yep.
So if you don't have like your crap game, if it doesn't make $100, at least you're not even going to break even. Crazy.
Yeah, so you're going to be like negative. I mean, you'll be paying money to have your game pretty much.
So if you want to go ahead and be a part of the polls that we have, be sure to follow us over on X at Indie_Hangout. And you can go ahead and vote on those. And then we can read them out. All right, email time. And actually, just a question. So we go ahead and we've gone to our community and asked our community to go and email us at indiehangoutcast@gmail.com. Any kind of questions, hot takes, anything in general you want to throw our way, we'll go ahead and read some of them off at the end of the podcast, usually at the end, if we probably get a backlog, we'll go ahead and maybe we'll just have a pod episode of email questions. So this question comes from my wife, and she wanted to ask us, do you think main Steam games or indie games are more geared towards women or female gamers, being in that cozy aspect in general? Or do you think it is a actual mix of gamers all over across the board? Do you think indie games are more geared towards the female player?
I'm going to say no. I think it's because, I mean, yeah, a lot of us like the action games and more fast paced stuff. But at the same time, there are like times, where we can sit down, like you said, you've played the one game for 600 hours. I've played Pokemon games for 300 hours. I mean, they're slow paced, just kind of chill games. And it's all mainly just, on what you're feeling at the time. So I don't think they're really directed towards like a male or female type audience.
I would agree 100%. I don't think that the games are at all geared just towards female gamers, but I do think there's a level of more games coming out, more indie games coming out in general that might be more interesting to all types of gamers across the board. I think that is definitely happening. Whereas, the hardcore gamers going for that Call of Duty, more intense gameplay style. But I think across the board, you don't even have to call it cozy games. You don't have to call it these farm simulators or even Repo. Repo, I think, is a very good, you could be any type of gamer, play that game and enjoy it. Indie games in general, I think, are just a good mix, in my opinion, for all types. What about you, Maz?
I think that games overall are pretty much unisex. I don't think that they really are geared towards male or female. I mean, unless you're talking about like a Barbie game or a makeover game.
I was just thinking Barbie.
Right? Yeah, right. There are going to be some games that are specifically geared towards gender, but I think if we're talking about it on the whole, it's not really, I don't think it's geared towards, I don't think that's the reception. And I would imagine that there's no definitive data stating that indie games are exclusively geared towards females either. I'd love to see if there were any studies on that. But I also think that there's another dimension to it. And you kind of mentioned it there with Repo, Pneumatic Spone. You said you could be any type of gamer and enjoy that game. I think that it's not only male and female, but it's 5-year-olds and 50-year-olds that can enjoy it as well. So that's the thing, is it takes all kinds, all genders, all ages and whatnot. You're either a gamer or you're not a gamer. And that's really how I feel. I don't think it's something that you grow into. I think you're turned on to it once and you're like, boom, where's this been all my life? Or you're not. So I don't think that you can break that up into gender that way because of that type of mentality.
Yeah. I think it stems from, there was a time where Bay was going through the Xbox Game Pass and she was having a really hard time trying to find a game that she loved. Like, she really loved these side scroller games like Lucky Tales. That was that side scroller, or Top Over 3D style game. She likes these very kind of relaxing games too. And she felt there's not enough, until she got the PC game and she's like, oh my gosh, look at all this variety. So maybe it's not, like you said, it's not a female male gamer. It's real on PC gaming in general. I think it's a good coverage of all types of gamers just because of how many games are being released nowadays from AAA, AA, and indies. So
agreed.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely the variety is starting to be more there because you got more companies coming, you got more people. Like, for example, you're making a game, more people getting into it and trying to make stuff that it's like you got a wider variety than we did 10 years ago.
Absolutely. They're becoming a lot more, indie games are becoming a lot more prolific. You can see the success of games like Stardew Valley. Dave the Diver, when it came out, was very popular. Repo's extremely popular. Schedule 1. And that inspires people. It's inspired me. I know some coding. I know a little bit about game development, but not enough. But inspiring to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I should get in on this. Maybe I should look into finally checking that off my bucket list, right? I think
it's a trap.
It's absolutely a trap. But I'll tell you, success is infectious. And when they see an indie game by a normal person that's not a big time game developer or studio or anything like that, that is making their dream come true, putting that on putting that into a game, it makes people think, oh, maybe I can do that too. And it's sparking a boom of indie developers and gamers and games. And some of these games are, absolute hot garbage, but some of them are absolute gems. And we've talked about a bunch of those today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That and another thing I think too, just kind of thinking on the indie game subject, that might seem like they adhere, like more to the cozier type games, is just the way if you think about like how indie games are, they're not AAA titles. So like you can't expect to have like a Call of Duty game from an indie game. And a lot of times indie developers, I mean, just my understanding is they know that. So they're like, hey, we're not going to try and make a shooter game to compete. So like if we can just make like a repo game that does successful, hey, you kind of stick with like the area too. So yeah, more games might seem like they're the cozier, made for like female type games in a way.
Yeah, I think across the board, the spectrum's just opened up. Like I agree with you. It's just opened up to all types of gamers, male, female, and being that, as Maz was saying too, like success is infectious, and since there are a lot of indie developers gaining much success out of this, it's grabbed attention of other game designers to do their own thing, create games that are, like you said, maybe more on the cozy side, and release and turn out to be amazing. And maybe those type of games probably weren't as an abundance as they are now. So maybe that's why we're on this maybe that's where that question came from, in regards of how it used to be when she couldn't really find games, and to how it is now where she can in abundance.
Yeah, because like I know personally, like going through the Game Pass on Xbox, there are so many like indie style games on there now to play. Like there companies like the Xbox game release thing that they did this or last year was like so many. It was more indie style games coming out than it was like mainstream games.
Yeah, and the numbers only growing.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, you're absolutely, you just hit the nail on the head. I think this is the direction that it's taking. I think that indie games will take over. You're always going to have your AAA games. Bethesda's not going anywhere. Like Microsoft's not going anywhere. Sony's not going anywhere. Ubisoft.
Activision.
Hey, Activision's gone.
Wow, way to ruin it.
Microsoft bought them.
Yep.
Well, technically they bought Bethesda, Activision. They bought all that. Like it was like some big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bought the thing. Right.
Yeah.
There's a package deal, right?
Yeah. $1 billion deal.
I mean, Microsoft's not done. They're acquired in October of 23 by Microsoft. So
yeah,
where they're not a thing anymore, that's kind of a good thing. They were a terrible company. They were kind of like EA in terms of like microtransactions and trying to just bleed every gamer dry. But that's the good thing here is that these bigger companies still aren't going to go anywhere. But tying it back in, I believe that the indie games will take over in time. And unfortunately, what happens when the indie games take over?
Price is going to shoot up.
The price is going to go up. So enjoy your $5, $10, $15 games, $20 games now, because I think in the next 5 to 10 years, they will start to become prices akin to these AAA games. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Don't think I am, though.
You heard it here first, everyone. Go buy up your games now. Enjoy your time, because indies are taking over and it's going to flip.
Pre-order years in advance.
Do it now.
Before long, you'll get your AAA title for $29.99. Be paying $60 for Repo and $30 for Halo or something.
Well, I mean, I'll say how much is Minecraft?
I know it.
It's went up. It's like $20, I think.
I think it's $40.
Is it?
I
Oh,
believe
okay.
so.
Last time I bought it was 20.
Right. So that's because it's not an indie game anymore, right? It's a Microsoft game. But at the same time, those were starting to creep up anyway because it just had wild popularity. Another game, by the way, that doesn't charge for extra content and updates.
Yeah, very true.
How can we not talk about Minecraft this entire time? It was an indie game that was more successful than Stardew Valley when it first came out. 2009.
Created by one guy in his basement because he was bored.
Yep.
And then made out like a bandit.
I think I talked to you on your stream about it that one time, dude, that like, Minecraft like kind of really did set the standard for indie games to be like, hey, these are really good.
Yeah, the one big success story. Wait, what do you mean Minecraft was developed by one guy? What do you mean Microsoft bought the IP for it for $1 billion? I want that.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And he sold out. $1 billion? He could have held out for more.
Dude, man, the amount of money Minecraft has made. Man, let's not say that Minecraft would still be the same game it is today, but it still probably would have been just as successful because it was already successful, but like the amount of success furthermore, you know?
See, I'm not so sure about that. I don't think that Notch had the resources to make it what it is today. I think you need a big brother like Microsoft to take it to the next level, and to that game needs a team. There's so much to it. It's so involved. But the worst part about Minecraft is it spawns so many shitty ripoffs of it. Pardon my language, but I remember some of these really terrible games that came out that tried to be like Minecraft, and it was like Guncraft, and they had everything had
Castle Miner Z.
Castle Miner Z. That's one that I'm thinking about as well.
I actually played that one quite a bit, though. That one was kind of fun. Had dragons that would attack your base and stuff.
Yes, I remember that one. Terrible,
I'm guilty of playing that one.
I never played any of those. I was like, no, Minecraft's the GOAT.
It is the GOAT. Today, it's the GOAT. I mean, that's the game. And you even said it, we were talking about it offline, New. It's the game that you love for 6 months and then you hate it for 1.5 years. And then you come back and play it for 6 more months. Like, why did I ever stop playing? This is the best game that ever happened to me in my entire life. You know what? I'm so tired of this game. This game sucks. I'm going to put it down. Oh my God, Minecraft is so amazing. Let's play it for 6 months.
I tell my community it's the Minecraft itch. It comes and then it's like a unhealthy, obsessive game, like craziness of gaming out on it.
Yes.
And then, yeah, in 3 months, you're like, I'm tired of this. Yeah, I'm not. And then it's like 6 months later, someone's talking about, hey, what have you been up to? Just playing this game. Oh, I've been on Minecraft. Minecraft, huh? I wonder what I could build in my base. Is it still there?
Absolutely. We have somebody in our community named Wheezy's World. You know who she is.
Oh, yeah.
She has the Minecraft itch right now. And I'm like, dude, pace yourself. Because it would be kind of like a cool social experiment to see, you know, how long can you drag it out if you don't play an unhealthy quantity of it? She's still playing an unhealthy amount of it. So
falling into the trap. Well, that was it for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to tune into the next episode. We'll keep them coming once every week. And until then, we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
See you later.
it's a wrap.